Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I've got your very first gameplay of the T1E1 90mm. That's right, this is a currently rank 3, battle rating 5.7 heavy tank in the American Ground Forces tech tree, and is at current the final of the line of 3, kind of 4 variants of the M6A1 line. So as you can see here, it is in that same line, though oddly enough comes in after the M4A3E2. So again, kind of strange, and technically speaking, we also have, of course, the M6A2E1, which is kind of in the same line, but probably the biggest departure from the standard M6 in total. But either way, this thing does not have a stabilizer, which kind of sucks. Also, it is a higher BR compared to the T1E1, as you can see here. Now, like the T1E1, it does have the same exact powertrain, 800 horsepower. This does weigh about 0.6 tons more compared to the T1E1, and also will have a slower firing rate compared to it because, of course, it has this 90mm cannon with 185mm of armor pen, which is very nice compared to this with just 149. Plus, the 90mm also has 137 grams, imagine kilograms, of explosive filler equivalent, whereas this only has 63.7. So we're looking at around 2 times the explosive filler equivalent with the 90mm. But again, it lacks that stabilizer, which is a very, very big deal. Basically, this is a T1E1 on steroids. I'm interested to see. The stabilizer on the standard T1E1 is godly, so not having it and then also seeing a higher BR might be a bit rough, especially once the armor on this thing, it is already starting to get stale by 5.3 BR. Can't really imagine it's going to be much better at 5.7. Also, real quick, tell me, do you guys notice this? Look at the top of this and look at the top of this. Is it just me, or is the T1E1 a little bit bigger? Like, it's got a bigger turret. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm not entirely sure. But that being said, let's get into a few matches and see how we do. So I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, my main concern with this vehicle was basically that it was just going to be overkill, right? The 90mm, which, by the way, the fact that I just killed an M36, that's kind of funny. Because that's also the other 90mm cannon vehicle at and around this BR. Anywho, so I kind of feared that this would be like overkill, right? Like, and you're gaining a cannon that you don't need, and you're losing a stabilizer that generally benefits you with the T1E1, right? Like 76mm. Do you really need that extra, what, like 35mm of armor pen? I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think it's going to help. But, I mean, right there, the stabilizer, like, the 76 would have been able to knock him out any day of the week. And that stabilizer would have guaranteed that I would not have gotten killed. Okay, we are out of the game here. Let's back up. I'm going to die, by the way. But look at this reverse speed. That's the thing I love about this thing so much. But the 76mm, I feel like, is more than fine for the most part, and that the 90 for the most part is a bit of overkill. And I mean, I'm actually interested to see what you guys think about it, right? Like, is the T1E1, the 76mm, because now we have to make the distinction, is that better at 5.3 BR than this is at 5.7? And regardless of if you've played this vehicle or not, I'm actually interested to see what you guys think, because I think that this is something that anyone who knows anything about the 76, about the 90, and about stabilizers in general probably could say with, you know, an educated guess. Oh no, my ally just got team killed by a bomb. It's a Locust friend. Okay, there we go. We have ourselves a nice 76 or 90mm kill on a Panther tank. Man, it still befuddles me. I mean, like, in my experience thus far, the reload rate really isn't all that bad. Bear in mind that you do have a ready rack on this thing, and it only goes up to 4 shells. But, you know, I mean, the reload rate isn't all too bad. Now, one thing that you do also want to bear in mind is that whenever content creators like me, whenever we get a test drive, it always shows the base level stats. So in this instance, it only showed the basically the stats that you would see if I had no crew training, which is not indicative of what we actually have here. But in this case, it looks like the match is pretty much over. Oh, speak of the devil and he shall appear. Okay, now I'm assuming this match is probably over, but I could have gotten that Tiger kill with even a freaking mate. I mean, if I was good enough with the 75 right from the front, but definitely the 76 easily, you know. And the Tiger is a higher BR than this, so again, you have to wonder, is this thing actually going to be worth it? But I guess that's what gameplay is all about. So okay, it doesn't look like we are getting into the next match quite yet. I keep talking myself into these traps here. We have ourselves a Tigre. And, okay, we're not going to get that kill, but we can get that kill very easily. Damn, son! Like, not bad. Okay. The 76 wouldn't have been able to do that. I'll see that point. The 90 just took out a Tiger to H right from the front. Okay. Okay, I guess the 76 wouldn't have been able to do that, at least not as easily. Can I... Oof. Oh, okay, maybe I'm liking the 90 a little bit more. But anyways, now it's time to get to the next match. I had plenty, like, you really... Most of the time, in my experience, you don't really get a lot of late game kills like this. It's pretty consistent, and so many of my kills were kind of right at the end here. So now let's get into the next match, but not too bad. 7 kills, 3 base caps. So when it comes to this vehicle, right, like it's 5.7 BR, and you know, obviously, right? And so being that this is 5.7 BR, it gets into up tiers all the time. Like, and I'm not just talking about like 6.3, which coincidentally this is 6.3. This is probably like my second out of a dozen matches, which is just 6.3. Ooh, okay, good. We damaged that transmission. But this is probably my second match that's just 6.3, which isn't bad. And so... Okay, what is this M18 doing? There's a guy right there, my man! Oh, I was looking for that trick shot. There we go. Any hoodles. So this is a 5.7 BR vehicle. And so it gets placed in up tiers pretty much constantly. Complete up tiers. And that's rough, you know. And the reason why it's 5.7 is because it has this 90mm cannon. Which, the 90mm cannon is required to be in these up tiers. Like, the 76 would not do versus 6.7 BR vehicles. Like, you know how many heavy tanks are at 6.7 BR, right? King Tigers, you have the various, like, IS tanks, I think, that are around there. You have T1E1, if I'm not mistaken. Just a whole bunch of very, very difficult to beat vehicles, right? Like T1E1, like Super Pershing, T1E5. And it's just, it's bonkers how hefty a lot of these vehicles are. And so you need this 90mm cannon. And so if you didn't have the 90mm cannon, you'd probably be in down tiers much, much more often. There we go. Much more commonly. And so, like with the T1E1 76, right? That vehicle is in far more down tiers. Ooh, that's not good. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot out that track. Okay, that's already destroyed. Okay, this is actually probably the one vehicle that I'm not good at destroying. I really have very little way of, like, knowledge of destroying the ISU 52. That's, like, my weakness. But, so if this thing had the 76, it would stand to reason, I think, that this thing would be in down tiers much more commonly. And not only that, not only are you getting that 76, but you're getting a stabilizer. And it also weighs a little bit less, right? Like, it's not just the 76, and it's not just the stabilizer. You do get a slight mobility boost. And so, I don't know. Like, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, you need The 90mm cannon puts this thing at 5.7 BR, which means that you then need the 90mm cannon because you're going to be in up tiers all the time. But if you just kind of break the cycle and stay at, like, I don't know, 5.3 BR, or better yet, 5.0 BR, oof, then you wouldn't need the you know, that big of a cannon. And the 76 does just fine, especially, again, with that stabilizer. So it's like, I don't know, it just, why? Like, it feels redundant. It feels unnecessary. And it's like, the only reason why I had to kill that King Tiger, the Tiger 2H in the first place, was because, ooh, nice, okay. Okay, there we go, we have ourselves two. I'm not trying to kill these people, like, right here. If you guys don't know, I'm not, like, that's, but I guess I'm kind of trapped now. But let's go ahead and get into another match. But basically, again, the 90mm puts this thing up in BR, which means that you then need the 90mm cannon. So, you know what's kind of funny about this? Even if you get into a complete down tier, you're almost kind of at disadvantage compared to the standard E1, right? Or the T1E1. And so, what I mean by that specifically, can I get a kill? Ooh, very nice. But basically, what I mean... Okay, I'm going to need to shoot this guy first. And then, we have that guy up there. Can I hit him with the 76? Okay, there he is. Can I get that? I can. But basically, in a complete down tier... This thing is almost in a disadvantageous position, because what happens is it now has a slower reload and the cannon is just overkill, whereas the 76 is, you know, a bit faster of a reload. It's got the stabilizer and it's totally sufficient, and even more so in many cases, for killing the enemies that you'll be fighting. And so it's like, you really can't win with this thing in some ways, right? Like, it's just, that's the problem, though, when you develop, like, these overkill vehicles in some ways, because they're fun, sure, and this is a great sniper in many ways, because, you know, 5.7 BR, especially in a down tier like this, is a gnarly sniper, more so than the 76. I'm just gonna wait for somebody. I think someone's coming. But it's just, I don't know, it's a bit of overkill. It's just a little bit of overkill, in my opinion. And again, you lose out on the benefits of that stabilizer. Okay, we have an enemy there. Whew. You should be so lucky, M18 down there, capping the 8-point. This thing could just go right through that IS-2. But, I don't know. Let me know what your opinions are on this vehicle. Because, on one hand, like, you know, you can make the same argument that I'm making against this, against the M36, and I think it'd be more or less valid. The only real difference here is that this has heavier armor, and I think a better reverse speed, you know, and a bit worse forward speed. But there's not really all too much difference. I mean, like, even in terms of mobility, if I'm not mistaken, you know, the M36 is not known for its mobility. And so it's like, I don't know. In some ways, I would almost rather have the M36 than this. But in some ways, no. I don't know. Ooh, that's not good. Ooh, okay, he's just not going to pay attention. That's good for me, though. And we don't get the kill. However, he's still not paying attention. This guy is like my hero. And he's just going back real slow, like. Because, of course, that's what he's going to do. Oh, poop. Let's try out this 37. Okay, the 37 didn't get the kill, but of course the 90 did. So, do I feel like... Okay, that sucks, actually. I'm sorry, my man. Do I feel like this is a bad vehicle? No, not really. But I feel like it's redundant. You know, that might be a good way to put it. After, like, what? I don't know, 15 or so kills in this match, give or take. Like, yeah, this thing, its armor isn't really useful for the most part. It's in up tiers for the most part all the time. And it doesn't, like, it doesn't really have anything special with it. It's just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel, like, necessary. It almost just feels like I said, if you get into the T1E1 76, you'd probably be better off, because at least in that case, you'll be in down tiers more often and you get a stabilizer. That's pretty much it. Okay, and we can... Oh, there we go. There's that 70 or the 37. Oh, buddy, we have a kill with a 37. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. This guy, oh, effing OPBS. Man, this guy, he must not get around much. This thing is not OP. It's like the 37, like you can, I don't know. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't think it's either of those things. I think overall this vehicle is okay, but it kind of puts itself in a bad position because of the 90mm cannon, right? Like, War Thunder doesn't work like in real life. The Americans could have introduced this thing, let's say, into World War II. Look at this. Oh, the most OP things. The Americans could have introduced this thing into World War II, and it could have been great. Like, the Tiger, for example. That was introduced versus, like, M3 Lees, you know? But in War Thunder, there's, like, a 3 BR gap between those two. And so, you know, in-game, it's a totally different scenario than in real life. And so it's like, in real life, this may have made some level of sense. But in-game, I just feel like it kind of defeats the point, because there's no matchmaker in real life. There is in-game. And so, because it puts itself up to 5.7 BR, again, with this cannon, it just, I don't know. You're just going to force yourself to be in up tiers all the time, and it's just unnecessary, in my opinion. Like, totally unnecessary. So one thing you can actually do with this is use a smoke shell. And the 90mm smoke shell is actually not all too bad. I think it's more effective than the 76, if I'm not mistaken. But in all, I mean, I'm gonna hopefully not let this end up being like the first match where I kept saying, see you later, and it just never ended up being later. Oh, look at that, we have ourselves an assist. But my final thoughts on this, I like it. I do, but the T1E1, in my opinion, is the epitome of perfection. You're not going to get better than that. The M6A1 is pretty much right up there. And so it's like, if I had to put tiers on these things, like, you know, S tier, A tier, whatever, through like F tier, I'd probably make this thing C tier, maybe D tier. It's just, again, the reason for its existence is itself. Simple. You know, I guess simple. And that's it. You know, whereas the E1E1, it's a much more balanced vehicle, faster reload, great stabilizer, technically slightly better mobility due to its power to weight ratio, and the M6A1 is pretty much right there as well, just without the enhanced reverse speed, pretty much. Ah, farts! Don't you hate it? You hate to see it. Oh, I'm dead here. You know, it's probably... Oh, it's not. It's not going to be that same guy as before. But I'm going to die here. So, with that said, thanks so much for watching. If you don't mind, okay, please console this guy, because he's about to die. Oh, no! I'm going to die! I'm going to die! I'm dead. I got cocky for a second, but with that said, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. I mean, like... I'm happy this vehicle is in War Thunder, but I don't see the point. It just feels weird at the spot that it's in. And I probably made this video longer than it needs to be, but it's a weird vehicle. Not because of anything for itself, but because of War Thunder's matchmaker. That's probably the best way to describe it. But either way, thanks for watching. See you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.